Hey guys, this is Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart. It is Wednesday, October 12th, 10:50 a.m. Eastern Time as I'm starting this video. I think it's time to do another update for the cannabis stocks. Um, we have quite a few of these at targets right now or resistance levels. In a quick summary, here's what I'm going to cover in this video. The momentum is still in the sector. However, I have quite a few of these at or approaching some of the key profit targets that I was looking at. So I'm going to go over those levels and tell you that I'm, at this point, and I want to say the momentum's still there. So I trade each of these charts individually. I talk about strategically adding and subtracting exposure to the sector. And what I mean by that is strategically means you don't just blindly throw money in them and blindly take money out. For example, we're just starting out in not any particular order. I had these sorted earlier by gains. I'll move my watch list off to the side so you can see the whole chart. So here's ERBB, American Green. You see in a channel here, descending price channel. You see the breakout, confirm with volume. This would be at that point of the breakout, that's objective entry number one right there on the breakout. Then we had this primary downtrend line, a longer term downtrend line come in. You can see that was taken out. There's your next objective entry. Now the stock was up so much, so someone, let's say you didn't want to chase that day, then if you look closely, you see a pullback to backtest that level. That is certainly an objective entry. So as far as getting into a stock like this and adding to position, let's say you're taking fractional positions or you didn't catch the first breakout, this is what I talk about strategically adding or reducing exposure. As far as the reducing, that means closing out positions. Just as I like to scale into a lot of these names, I also take a shotgun approach, spread my money amongst many of the names because you never know which ones are going to be the big ones that win and which ones may blow up on you. So far, I think they've all been winners, but that's not always the case, but it has been because everybody's just trying to grab anything that's related to cannabis stocks right now. But as far as strategic, exiting those positions or taking profits, you have a resistance zone here. If this one blasts on through that resistance zone, I could certainly add a level right here, horizontal, which I will in a second. But these are the next targets. You can see these lines on my charts are all potential price targets, horizontal resistance levels. There might be some resistance that comes in play there in the middle. And most importantly is you want to keep an eye on the entire sector and watch for that when that momentum dries up and you start seeing a lot of profit taking or more and more profit taking, then you want to maybe lighten your exposure to the sector. All right, let's run through these quickly. ENRT. That one had a resistance right here. It hit, there was a wedge pattern, broke down. So as far as objective entries, your next objective entry would be on a tag of this uptrend line here. If it pulls back and hits that level, you could certainly go long there with a stop below. And as I say this, please keep in mind, you know, trade each of these stocks with the whole sector in mind. In other words, watching the entire sector. What I mean by that, if ENRT comes down here and hits that downtrend line, and I see the sector in free fall, I see a lot of profit taking. The momentum is clearly to the downside. I see support levels that should hold being smashed right through. You don't step in and buy. However, if you see a lot of other stocks at the same time coming to support, maybe bouncing off the support right before this one gets here, you see volume coming in, you see those other stocks turning around and rolling, heading up, that's when you step in and buy. And like anything else, if it doesn't work out, you can place your stop below. And there's your second objective entry. So let's draw it out here again, just hypothetically. If we get a pullback here and that level holds, you come up here, this is resistance. You can see how well defined it is going back here to the left, all these reactions, and then this most recent reaction. So then a breakout of that, what is that, roughly almost 5 cent level, 4 point something, a breakout of that level would be your next objective long entry. And once again, assuming that the sector confirms that you have the momentum, you're seeing some bullish developments in some of the, in the majority, I should say, of the other cannabis stocks. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a cannabis ETF yet. I'm sure one day there will be. And if anybody finds anything out there that we can chart and track, such as a sector or an ETF, let me know. But I have this is a potpourri, a collection of various cannabis stocks. Some I mentioned are pure plays and some are not pure plays on cannabis, meaning they don't grow cannabis or sell cannabis. They may do other things. I have some medical research, biotech companies, everything else. There's even a finance company in here that finances some of these startups. EDXC. Again, this is going to be a common theme. We'll talk about a lot of these stocks are now reaching some of the higher target levels that I had. This one, for example, EDXC hit this target level I've had here for a while, right there under the 5-cent mark. You can see going back the reactions that define that level. There's some reactions there, maybe even to the left of the chart. That previous reaction high, we had a momentum overshoot, but the body of that candlestick closed right there. That's why I had that line. And remember, this line was here put well in advance. And you can see how perfect that stock kissed that and pulled back quite a bit so far. That's, off that level, that's a give back of about 14%. And if it takes that out, if the momentum remains, maybe it just needs a pullback. The former resistance then becomes support. This is the real solid support. This would be the most objective level if it pulled back here, and the sector confirmed at the time that target that I had there about 0.332, 0.332, or 0.0332, I should say. So there, either way, there's another one at resistance. So maybe time to start reeling in some profits. AMMJ, this was one of my favorites. This one's just done great. We had that intersecting downtrend line that I talked about, and so far that one's up 425% since the breakout. Just phenomenal. But right up to the upper end, this is the highest target level that I've had on this chart, or that I currently have. And so this is one that I certainly recommend if you haven't done so already. I can't make recommendations as to what anybody should do with their trading, but I can tell you that I am taking profits on a lot of these names, and I'm doing it strategically, as I said. Strategically, once again, as stocks hit key resistance levels or targets that I was looking at as my uppermost targets. And I've also taken some out along the way on a lot of these names. I can't recall. There's so many positions that I have. I take that shotgun approach, but I believe I took some profits on AMMJ last week there when it came up and hit that 33-cent target level. And I told you I have core positions that I'll leave on in my long-term accounts, IRAs and stuff, because I think there's a lot of potential in the sector long-term. And, at this point, I can taken booked more than 50% of the profits. So I can let almost the entire position, if you take on balance all the positions, some I still have full positions in, some I've taken even taken full profits on some, but I can pretty much let what I have ride in the sector now. It's less than I originally invested in these, so I'm pretty much letting profits run at this point, and ideally looking for pullbacks on the next real bout of profit taken once the momentum exits the sector or the momentum flips to the downside. But as I mentioned and showed, it's still to the upside right now. ATTBF, I'm sorry. Nice downtrend line breakout. And as I said, these things behave so well to the technicals. You had an impulsive break. Here's your flagpole. There's a bull flag pattern and a breakout, and it's already exceeded that target. I guess if you wanted to extend that bull flag, you could probably pull it all the way down here, and then you're right at about where that bull flag should project to, and you have really solid resistance here. So I think if that one makes it a little higher, that's certainly an objective level to take some profits. And you don't want to try to milk every penny out of these. So wherever you're at, wherever your comfort level is, you can take profit along the way. But it's just a whole lot easier to sell when when the momentum is still there, because if it reverses, they can fall fast, and it's hard to get a good fill when you're using a limit order. Sometimes you have to chase the stock on the way down. CGRW, Canna Grow, another very nice looking chart. And we've traded these. This recent trade, their group of trades over the last couple months, was just the most recent. We had traded this sector earlier in the year when there was momentum, and this was one of them. You had a breakout here, nice move up after that break of the downtrend line, which was about on par with what we did now. I think this one was good for 200. Was it? Trying to get a percentage gain. No, maybe not this one. It's hard to grab a mark there. Trying to measure the gains. 74% or so. This time around, since the breakout, it was so far 143%. And what I like about this one, longer term that is it's taken out that $1 level, and I often talk about that. When a stock, these penny stocks break, especially when they hold above $1, they start to get picked up on different scanners. That some people are scanning for stocks that are a dollar more. They don't want to trade a penny stock, and so there's a potential bullish development is the fact that that one is well above that $1 level now, and if it comes back in, and it could, I could easily see this one coming back in. That would be your next objective entry at this point, would be a pullback to that $1 level. So if you see a lot of profit taking in the sector, and again, if and when it gets back to $1 somewhere close, I wouldn't want to wait till I try to get a little bit above there, and you can put your stops below. But again, if the sector confirms at that time, that would be your next objective entry on that one. Otherwise, if you're in it and it looks very good, let it run. You can trail your stops, manually ratchet them up, do whatever you want there. But again, a lot of these stocks, as I mentioned, that the potential is huge. Someday these can be $5, $10 stocks, especially those with sound business models. There's CANN, General Cannabis, just one of my favorites back then. We traded this one back here. That one had a 272% rip, and then most recently I, pointed out back here is a breakout above this downtrend line, and from that point, again, it's so hard to do this on TC2000. You have to move to the left, or you grab the trend, or move to the right of the chart, or you grab the trend line. There's a 377% rip in just what is that, a month or so? Incredible run, but now it's coming up to a very solid. This was the final target, the highest target I've had listed, and we're almost there now. So that is one. I've already started taking some profits. I'll keep a small position on for as long as this chart looks constructive in my long-term accounts, but I might even reduce it a little more here soon because that one's coming up to that solid resistance level. AERO, Arrow, this one I already had taken out profits here. I pointed out this bearish rising wedge a couple weeks back. It punched up through there. I had some in a long-term account. It did a wedge overshoot. I often talk about wedge overshoots. When there's strong momentum, you can pop to the top of a wedge, came back and back tested the bottom of the wedge so far. But on this one, that $5 level is a pretty key level. Let me see if that goes back in time. It doesn't show well on this chart. But either way, you can see for the last 2 years, this is a 2-year daily chart, several reactions and failures there at the $5 level. This was just a big momentum fueled overshoot, and the stock came back in, and so far that's a level to watch. Now, longer term, I think one of the bullish scenarios for this one would be to see the stock, consolidate for a while in the whole sector, digest these gains, maybe even come back in. Here's a very nice support level right around here, around $3. You also have support here, as I showed you, as you can see. So to see the stock come back in, even if it goes back to $3, it's still, taking a whole look at the chart, that would still be constructive. Let's see the stock grind around for a while, chop around, consolidate, and then ultimately go on to break out above that $5 level. That would be your next objective entry for a longer term trade, a break above $5, especially seeing these recent gains digested and the overbought conditions worked off a little bit. CVSI, this one, I'm still in this one. With a full position, a swing trade position. When I say full, of course, adjusted down for the risk tremendously. I take small shotgun approach, small positions in a lot of these names. Some are a little more, the charts are a little more solid than others, and a little less risk in some. But this one I like. It's done well so far. It broke out from, this was our entry here, this downtrend line. So it broke out from there. It's already gained about 65%, and it appears to be, I'll put these pieces back together, bull flagging right here. This would be your flagpole, this line. There's your bull flag, and if it breaks out, as long as the momentum remains in the sector, it's bull flagging back down to support. This was a former price target or resistance level that I had. and it projects right up to, this is my preferred target on this one, that 6598, call it 66 cents level. You can see a reaction right here, that reaction there. There were some reactions back here, and that's what I'd like to see on this one, get up to around that level, and then either book full profits or just leave a little bit on for a long-term position. But I like this one. I've checked out their fundamentals a little bit, so there's a story there, and this is one that I'll probably tuck away at least some small position on even after I book profits on the swing trade. CCAN, this one just hasn't done anything yet. Very thin trading, like a lot of these were. You see these choppy candlesticks. Volume's starting to come into the stock, but it really hasn't. This one hasn't done anything yet. It hasn't taken out the downtrend line yet. But one to watch. You know, the momentum's in the sector, and it seems like people are just scouting out, looking for anything related to marijuana or cannabis in the name, and they're buying them. I don't think they're really doing their due diligence. They're just playing the momentum trend, and that's fine. You know, as a trader, I don't care if there's fundamentals not, as long as the stock goes up and I make money. You know, now I won't get married to if any of these companies that I plan to really take a decent sized position on. I will do my due diligence and make sure that they have at least somewhat of a sound business model, and not just the word cannabis or marijuana in their name. GRNH, this was one of my favorites here. Done very well. There's that descending triangle pattern that I talked about. Breakout back test. So talk about the strategic entries, and I did point this out, if I'm not mistaken, in the trading room. Both the breakout and the back test, which offered an objective entry if you missed the breakout or if you wanted to add to it. And then from there, after the back test, that one just exploded. So this is just a, you know, another textbook play out of a technical analysis textbook. Back here too, you had this bull flag pattern. You see, this is the flagpole. I don't have that white line. I'll show you. See the white line there? There's your bull flag pattern. That measures it from the move up to the top of the flag. You see your bull flag pattern right there. You take the flagpole, you put it down to the lowest point of the flag, and that, I mean, almost exactly to where it played out to. And so now that is resistance there, that previous reaction high around 11.8. But we're at resistance now too. You can see reaction there, some reactions there. So it might be prudent to start either tightening up stops or taking some off the table now. TRTC, excuse me. Like I said, this one's sort of a sloppy chart, not one of my favorite. MCOA, I just added this one recently. You can see back here hardly any volume in the stock, and in recent months or so far this year, like a lot of them, you're starting to see an increase in volume. And then again, you just had a beautiful triangle pattern breakout. Look at the volume coming in after that breakout. That's what you want to see on a breakout right there. You want volume to expand on a breakout to confirm. So once it broke out, had a little false start there, and then boom, real deal. And it hit that target and has stopped cold there for last week or so. It had a couple tags, powered up there again. And, these lines aren't arbitrary. If you look to the left of the chart, you will see, the reactions that define or give you a target level or price level. If that gets taken out, your next target is up here, that previous reaction high. I don't see anything until then if that level gets taken out. MJNA, another nice one. It's just played out well. Every time you break above these downtrend lines, you have a boom, a big rip, boom, a big rip, boom. This was the most recent breakout here that was pointed out in advance. And so far from there, since it's broken out, it's run as high as 72% and hit that target level, pulled back. And as you can see, when we talk about strategic entries, it's hard to say which ones will hold. This would have been your first objective reentry, although that wasn't the end of the pullback. It happened to pull back to that first target I had. See, this is the first target, second target, third, fourth. And so we blasted on through there, hit that third target, pulled back, caught support on that first target, and has since moved higher. So now a break above this high, if it can do it, if it has the energy and the momentum remains in the sector, that would most likely take us up to this target here. MCIG, not much to say, very clean, downtrend line was pointed out here, broke out, and since that breakout, that one's ripped about 56%, and it's at a pretty significant resistance zone now. That resistance zone is defined by, these. You have a couple reaction highs there, one down there, one there, another reaction high here, and quite a bit of, you can see the support shelf here, that lower line held. So right now there's a stock at resistance. And again, prudent to take some off the table if if you took it on the breakout. CBDS, cannabis sativa, coming up on a downtrend line, a primary downtrend line. This one might go back a ways. Let's see that downtrend line. Yeah, there it is off the top. So not much else to say. A stock at resistance. Now, certainly a solid break above that level, especially if there's still momentum in the sector. That would be your next buy signal on that one. And I could see that one easily going up here to the $9 level over time. But that, again, would entail the sector continuing the momentum all the way up until then, and more than likely you'll see a pullback along the way. Maybe it breaks out and comes in and back tests, but this level, regardless, something to keep an eye on if you're trading this one, is this current level that we're at now. You can see the reactions as I highlight them here, going to all the way back. A lot of reactions there. So again, this is resistance, a stock at resistance. It's come up. If it breaks out that level, that if there's still momentum in the sector and it looks good, that may be the real deal, and it could run all the way up to the $9 level. If not, let's say it breaks out and then we start to see about a profit taking in the sector, then you now have support around this level here, this whole zone, this shaded zone. And so any long entries there are objective, and it might just need to work off the overbought conditions and then move up. And if not, that's what stops are for. So as far as stops go, you see this uptrend line right here. You can use that uptrend line or move well below that support level. There is your stop on that one. SGBY, Signal Bay. This was like several of these stocks shared by a member of the site. And let's see here. There it goes. I've already talked about this one. It's, pointed out it pulled back to this support level and exploded up. And it seems to be, this is the area that it's struggling with right now. So there's really, I don't see any objective entry at this point. Maybe if it takes out those highs, there was a fundamental story behind this one. So it's just hard to really provide an objective entry at this point. It's already had 2 failed attempts here. But again, if it takes out those previous reaction highs, it might need a little time to do it. That would be your next objective entry. Otherwise, another pullback to this level here or this level here. FULL, this is one that I mentioned that's not a direct play on cannabis stocks. I'm not sure where and when I added this to my list. It was a while back, but I got it off somewhere that it's related to the cannabis sector. I think they do financing for the startup companies. And so again, not a pure play, but you can see it's just knocking on that 274 level. So a break above that level, that's a pretty powerful basing pattern. Could certainly bring this one up over time. I would say my minimum swing target, longer term target, I should say, would be this level here, right here. And that's around 350. And then if it gets above there, you have a move up to about 380 or so, it looks like. These 2 levels. Of course, each line represents a potential target or resistance level, but again, you need to see a solid and convincing break above the 275-ish level there first. TWMJF, Canopy Growth Corp. It's nice, another display of technical analysis. You have a bearish pennant, large pennant, almost symmetrical triangle pattern. There's a move leading up to it. And there's the breakout. So this one's already played out almost to the extent of that measured pattern. So I don't think, I wouldn't chase it here. And if you're in it, then consider taking some profits soon, taking a little off the table. That one looks to have played out. Dumar, DEWM. Just nice support level here. You can try to buy this one off. It's a low priced one, not one of my favorite. Move on from there. Chuma Holdings, very thinly traded, just one on my list, not one of my favorites. EAPH, Easton Pharmaceuticals. I can tell you there's a pretty well-defined downtrend line right there, and you've had a few false starts. That's why you have to wait for, convincing break, impulsive, you want to see volume. You can see these intraday breaks that didn't pan out. But so if you get a solid daily close above there or a very solid intraday break on volume and all that, you can see volume come into the stock lately here, but that one's yet to break out. If and when it does, I haven't fully annotated this chart for targets, but I could see that one easily heading up to about this level here. I'd give it a resistance zone. And again, something to monitor. Almost done here, guys. CBIS, Cannabis Science Inc. Here's a long-term downtrend line, goes to the left of the chart coming in. We had these minor downtrend lines I pointed out here most recently. So this was our most recent buy signal, the breakout of this downtrend line, which gave us a rip of about 67%. And this one appears to be both flagging right now, both flagging, as well. It's almost back testing. Let me get this line out of the way here. It's almost back testing this downtrend line. So, if as long as the momentum stays in the sector, just be careful. It is like a game of musical chairs. It's great to play when the music's going and the music stops. Don't stay too late at the party. But there it is. There's your bull flag pattern. And if it breaks out, that one projects right up, coincidentally or not, I say not, right up to my target level here, which is at a little over 3 cents a share, 3.3, 3.4 cents a share. Nice resistance there. And that would be the final target, at least near-term target, swing target about 4.8 cents a share. Very, very well-defined resistance. Cara, this one, as I mentioned, is not a direct play. It's a biotech company, works on painkillers. One of the painkillers they're working on in clinical trials is a cannabinoid or cannabis-based product, unlike the other opiate painkillers that they have. But this one, we did great on it. I can't recall. No, I don't believe it was an official trade idea. I pointed it out. I know it was pointed out in the trading room. Some of you caught it. It was a breakout above this level, broke out, came back in that day, offered a second entry, and then ran up, hit our final target, I should say. And I was able to make a few in and out trades on this one. Actually, it was right here, hit that target, pulled back, went long, rode it up again. And now it's at support. So here's one. Watch that level. Remember, my targets are set a little bit below the actual resistance level. That level was at 780. It's at 776 right now, right on that 200-day moving average, which may or may not come into play, that red line. So you have a bearish crossover in the MACD on the daily. This one might have to come back in a little more. You could take a shot at it here. It's a little bit below that 780 level. Which isn't a very well-defined level. It's sort of a rough level. You could take a shot with a stop below or just watch it for now. And I can tell you if it comes back in anywhere close to that 670 level, that is certainly an objective entry. And it may work out here. As I said, this one needs I think it needs a little time to digest this recent run. And then ultimately a break above this downtrend line. That would be a great, if it's confirmed on volume and everything else, a great long-term entry. And I think this one has promise as a long-term trade. So I'm watching it for a re-entry possibly here, almost certainly here, and then ultimately a break above this downtrend line for a longer-term trade. VAPE, simple downtrend line break, move up. Here's a target, overshot that first target, sort of come back in right around that support level, and if these are the additional price targets. If it makes it up there, you could probably draw a downtrend line. You could draw it a few different ways. That might be your stop on that one if you're long, if it takes out that line with conviction. And then ACBFF, which is finally coming under some profit taken today after just a tremendous run. The long-term trade, we've had 2 swing trades on it. The long-term trade, until just through yesterday was up 254%. And that's I've still put a tentative target. I had to give a price target. I said $3. We'll monitor this one as it goes, but there's one. And again, I mentioned taking some profits on it now that it's had such a run. It's only normal and healthy to see some profit taking. And then you have a gap right here, a big old gap, which you can target to either add some of that exposure back on, or if you don't have a position in this one, you want to get on board. Gaps are certainly a level that often act as support when tested from above. And if not, that $1 area should be also a very good add-on point if it gets back down there. PHOT, Grow Life, downtrend line, very thinly traded stock, low price, not one of my favorite. I think somebody pointed that out on the site, but it's worth watching, so I put it on my list. And then finally, CNAB, United Cannabis, broke out above that downtrend line, and then most recently I highlighted it as a break above this downtrend line. It has a silly errant candlestick there that really distorts the chart. There's no way for me to get rid of that on TC2000, so some charting programs will let you eliminate a candlestick. I don't think I can do it on this one, so you just have to kind of grab it there and see that this one's come up about 167%. I wanted to do that because it doesn't look like much on this chart, but almost better than the 150% move. And the target would be this level. You can see that previous reaction. There's reactions back here. So this one is just shy of the target now. A lot of volume coming in. It looks good, but again, we're starting to see a lot of these hit resistance levels, and I'm seeing profit taking in some of the names recently. So if you haven't done so, you might want to tighten up stops, take a little profits, and then I'll certainly continue to monitor the sector for the next objective swing entry. Okay, this has been Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, give it a thumbs up if you would on the YouTube page. Thank you.